You might do it, that's okay. If you want to kill me, that's alright.
Would love.
But not the fat. Whatever way you do it. As long as it's not the fair.
It's slow and steady eventually.
Sorry?
It will slow and stop eventually.
No problem.
That's how it's supposed to look.
It's slow. I think it will eventually. It's just a body because
I think it's going to stop.
That's alright. I'm trying not to catch a cold before I go to Europe. Om Gyantimandasya Gyamana Sarakya Shakshuram Vinitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Vistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamyam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Siguro Sri Yuta Padakam Sri Gurum Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaratam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Bhavan Swamina Lalita Sri Visakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapati Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Dhaneshwari Vrisabhanu Sukhadevi Brahmani Hariye Vanchakalpadurubhyacha Kripa Sindhudevacha Patitam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudhi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Lord Jagannath is described as the Lord of the universe. Yet we see that Krishna in the Bhagavad-gita is described as the Avyakta Murtira, or as that particular form which is not manifest. Maya Jakshena Prakriti Suyati Sachara Charam Hitranina Kuntya Jagat Viparivartate. Krishna is certainly the cause of everything, but everything goes on by his will, by his desire, by his Satya Sankalpa energy, by the energy where he simply desires and it becomes true, it becomes manifest. So when we have a Sankalpa, when we have a particular goal in mind, then you never know if you're ever going to reach it. But Krishna is not going through such limitations. He's Asamurdva. There is no one who is equal to him. Krishna is unmatched. He's the supreme and everything manifests by his will. Therefore, Krishna doesn't preoccupy himself with the material energy. Srila Prabhupada spoke about Atlas, the Greek demigod that is carrying the earth. There's an image of a person in Greek mythology who's carrying the earth on his shoulders. It's heavy. The whole earth he's got on his shoulders. Hard work, sweating. But I would explain, no, Krishna is not like that. The planets are simply rotating in their orbits by his will. And so, Lord Jagannath is the Lord of the universe. But what kind of Lord of the universe is He? He is not merely coming like any other incarnation. Paritranaya sadhanam vinasya saduskritam dharma samsnapanartya sambhavami yuge yuge. He's not just coming to establish principles of religion, to annihilate miscreants, demons. That is not His primary concern. His primary concern is to simply share His ecstasy with the entire universe. Because Lord Jagannath is an ecstatic manifestation of the Supreme Lord. That is His objective. It is described that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was waiting in front of the Simhadwara, waiting for Lord Jagannath to appear, nobody knew when it was going to happen. Because in Jagannath Puri, when it is Rath Yatra, there is no fixed time. This is the tradition in Rath Yatra, that there is no fixed time. You never know when it begins. Because Jagannath, he comes out of the gates whenever he wants. It's up to him. So that is the first thing. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was partaking in Rath Yatra, at that time, the Lord was very, very eager to mount his chariot. So Jagannath was early. He was early because he did not really want to wait. He could not wait any longer. He had a great desire to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the Daitas, the powerful servants of Lord Jagannath, they were lifting the deities by silken cords, but because the deities are solid and very large, they're very heavy, so it takes many men to lift them. And the cords, silken cords, are wrapped around, and they take them from cushion to cushion, and the cushions break even. Then Lord Jagannath is pushed up onto a ramp, and they're trying to get him on the chariot, and then he leans back. Sometimes the devotees are chastising Lord Jagannath. Oh Jagannath, this is not a time to take rest. Mount your chariot now. Somehow or other. But at the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath was eager to mount his chariot. He was eager to see the jubilant dancing of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is explained that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nayanya, he's no different from Radha and Krishna, both combined. Externally, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was partaking in Rath Yatra. Therefore, Mahaprabhu's mood during Rath Yatra was not, let me flood the whole universe in mercy. That was an additional element of Rath Yatra. But the main purpose of Rath Yatra was, let me now grab Krishna and drag him back to Vrindavan. And so Rath Yatra was a victory march, because this time Krishna was going, and nothing in the world was going to stop him. Nothing in the world was going to stop him. When the chariot stopped, somehow or other, and the wrestlers were pulling the chariot, it wouldn't move. The king, Maharaj Prataparuda, he put elephants with chains onto the chariot, and still the chariot did not move. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the back of the chariot, he just mildly pushed it with his head, and immediately the chariot began to roll, and the ropes were just lying in the hands of the devotees. No one was pulling, it was just moving on its own. Yes. Then towards the end of Rath Yatra, there are the gardens known as Jagannath Vallabha Gardens. On the left side, there's a Brahmin village, and on the right side, those gardens. It said, Lord Jagannath looked left at the Brahmin village. He looked right at those Jagannath Vallabha Gardens, those gardens of enjoyment, and there he went. So these Jagannath Vallabha Gardens are non-different from Vrindavan. And it was there that the chariot stopped, and many offerings were made to Lord Jagannath. Many. And then all the devotees were partaking in that Mahaprasada, and then after took some rest. And it was then that the king, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not see a king. And although the king was a devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused to see him. He said, because a king is a man who's involved with so many sinful activities. No, I cannot meet a king, a worldly man, a man who enjoys. No, I'm a sannyasi. I will not meet a king. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused to meet the king. Yet the king had rendered service. The king had allowed Ramananda Rai to retire as a governor with full salary so that he could serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The king had swept the road. The king had already received the mercy of the Lord, because once the king had sent his son, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had embraced that son, and that son had become transformed, and that son had become filled with ecstatic love, and then came back to his father, and his father was so happy to see that his son had been transformed into an ecstatic devotee. Then he embraced his son also, and then all the love of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just washed over Maharaj Prataparuda like a tidal wave. So in this way, already the king had received the mercy. But now the king came in disguise, like a common man, and massaged the legs of the Lord and began to recite the 5 chapters from Srimad Bhagavatam, the Panch Adhyay, that deal with the Ras Leela pastimes of Krishna. And in this way, the king was serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and giving the Lord great ecstasy. So, Rath Yatra in this way is taking place in Jagannath Puri. There are many more details, many more things to say. Rath Yatra in our movement started in 1967 on a flatbed truck in San Francisco. And Prabhupada was not well, so Prabhupada did not come, but sent the devotees, and Jayananda was heading up these devotees. And the devotees came back and they were very ecstatic, and then they said that at one point it really didn't look good because the truck stalled and it wouldn't start. And they couldn't get it to move. And then finally it started. Prabhupada said, yes, now it is complete. Just like that Rath Yatra of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where the chariot stopped. So we look at these two Ratha Yatras. The Ratha Yatra of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced higher than anyone else and just jumped high in the sky in ecstasy. And we're looking at that first Ratha Yatra in the West. And then we're looking at the Ratha Yatra in London, where Srila Prabhupada in 1973 performed Ratha Yatra. Now before Prabhupada went to London, he had been in Mayapur. And in Mayapur his sister had cooked for him. And she had made kachoris. So Prabhupada ate the kachoris, and then after about 20 minutes he rang the bell, called his servant and says, "My sister has tried to poison me." He said, like, you know, it's like they were not cooked properly, these kachoris. And he got really ill, and he got severe dysentery at the time. That was bad. And after some time, the devotees didn't know what to do. Prabhupada was really, really sick. Then, and this went on for days, then he said, "Call my sister." I said, "Oh no, not his sister. I mean, this is going to be the end, you know. It's going to be over if she comes." And then Prabhupada told her to cook deep-fried eggplant with puris. So I think deep-fried eggplant with puris, I mean, that's the heaviest of the heaviest. Eggplant sucks up that ghee or oil or whatever you fry it in. It's like greasy like anything. I mean, how can you eat that? You know, you're really ill. So everyone was in horror. No, not really. And then she came and brought it in. Prabhupada ate it and said, my mother always gave us deep-fried eggplant and puris when we had dysentery. So in this way, Prabhupada ate these things, but as they were on the journey to London, he was still not well, because there were two seats, one for Prabhupada and one for his secretary, and the secretary moved to the back so that Prabhupada could lie down on both seats, which usually he didn't do. And even on the car ride from the airport to the temple, Prabhupada became unwell on the way and had to throw up. So they had to stop actually. So it was really tough. And it was that year in 1973 that all the arrangements had been made for Prabhupada to sit on the chariot. Prabhupada would not sit up on the chariot. Prabhupada would sit on the lower deck, below the upper deck, because he did not want to sit on the same level as Lord Jagannath. He would sit below. And so a Vyasa-san had been placed there, and Prabhupada would be seated there. Normally in many Ratha Yatras. But in this Ratha Yatra, he didn't want to sit down. He didn't. And he ran forward as the Rath was being pulled, and all the devotees would run along with jumps and dancing, and then Prabhupada would turn around and jump up and down, and then the chariot would stop. And all the devotees would just jump in ecstasy. So it moved very, very slow in this way. So at one point, the police came, and the police looked at the biggest devotee, Brahmananda, and told him, "Tell the old man to move." And Brahmananda looked at the police. He looked at Prabhupada, and he was sort of thinking who he feared the most. And he feared Prabhupada the most, so he didn't say anything. He didn't say it. So then the cop came back and said, "Tell him!" And then Brahmananda went to Prabhupada and said, "The police asked you to move on." And Prabhupada just looked at Brahmananda, and Brahmananda shrunk in size and became the size of a mouse. He became a mouse. That was it. No one could stop Prabhupada, not Brahmananda, not the police, no one. Prabhupada was in ecstasy. He was in ecstasy to pull Krishna through the streets of London a victory march. He was in ecstasy to transform London into the spiritual world and to simultaneously bring Krishna and the spiritual world to London. When Prabhupada brought, when the deities came to Trafalgar Square is nice because on one side of Trafalgar Square there is the Nelson column, and then there's the square, and then on the other side of the square there is a raised platform, and then there's some government building. Now that raised platform, somehow or other, is perfect. It is designed that 3 rat cars exactly fit on there. I don't know which architect did this and why he did it, but it is a perfect fit. The 3 chariots just stand there and they're up. And they're up. So yes, the newspapers are chariots rival Nelson's column. Right? And they do, if you look, And that was, for Prabhupada, was something. He had that clipped out of so many newspapers and just kept all these clippings and photocopies because there was no internet and all that, and sent it all around. Everyone was getting a copy. That was something wonderful. So up to the day of today, for a little while, they got kicked out of the square, but we've been back for a long time on that square. And what to say? It is the square of victory, where we are commemorating Prabhupada's victory, the victory of Krishna, the victory of the spiritual energy over the material energy. The victory where the vision changes and where we actually realize we are not in the material world at all, where we actually realize we are in the spiritual world. That victory. Yata Krishna Yogeshwara Tata Shir Vijayo Bhutair Dhruva Itir Mama. That we realize that wherever there is Krishna, there is victory. A victory over the material energy, victory over the bodily concept of life, victory over false identification, victory over ahankar, victory over thinking that we are part of this material energy, although we have nothing to do with it, and just completely realizing we are here in the spiritual world. We are here with Krishna. And so, and Prabhupada was celebrating this Ratha Yatra in full knowledge of the fact. Some of us may not always be aware of all these things while we are at Ratha Yatra and pulling the chariot and doing all those things. We may not always think about these dimensions of Ratha Yatra. How actually the spiritual world is now victorious over the material world. We pull ourselves. If we pull Krishna and the chariot to Vrindavan, who will reach first? Yes. So in this way, we are actually entering into the spiritual domain. Still, sea point, this point, that point. We've been in green point, we've been in all kinds of points. But the real thing is, Krishna is actually always present. Krishna is fully present. He's the Lord of the universe. He is everywhere, in every nook, in every corner. And he is the origin. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sagam pravartate iti mata bhajantevam punyabhava samanta. He is the origin of all spiritual and all material worlds. And a wise man who knows this perfectly, such a man, he worships the Lord in ecstasy. Buddha bhava samanta bhava. Great ecstasy with great love. And so, Prabhupada, due to his love, transcended the whole material realm, not only in his vision, but he showed it that he transcended his age. He transcended his health issues. He completely transcended it. It had nothing to do with that anymore. Here he was expressing the joy, the natural joy of the soul on the spiritual platform. Sat-Chit-Anand, the soul is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And in this way, Srila Prabhupada just empowered everyone who was there. And the entire atmosphere was uplifted, and everyone became swept up. And so we remember this glorious Rath Yatra. We remember another glorious event when Srila Prabhupada was in New York City. And in New York City, Srila Prabhupada was seated on the roof of his 55th Street skyscraper. He called it a light beacon of Krishna consciousness for the entire world. Prabhupada even said he wanted his samadhi on the roof of that building. He said that. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. If they would have, we would probably still have the building. But anyway, that building now. But then it was time for Rath Yatra. And they applied for Rath Yatra. And Toshan Krishna, who's very smart, he went to apply for permissions. He said, no. I mean, since many years we're not admitting any new parades on 5th Avenue. Really sorry, but you can't apply for this. No, we won't accept any application for 5th Avenue. No way. And then Tosha said, no, but it's not a big thing. It's just 3 hand-pulled cars. 3 hand-pulled cars. That's okay. So he filled out the application. Procession, 3 hand-pulled cars. Later, Rama asked, so how did you get permission? He said, I asked for 3 hand-pulled cars. Prabhupada said, very intelligent. Very intelligent. Prabhupada liked it a lot. Yes. Prabhupada said, what does it take for this movement to go on? Brahmananda said, sincerity. Prabhupada said, that's not enough. It takes intelligence. Yes. So, and then, somehow or other, this whole Rath Yatra had been put up by Jayananda, who somehow or other built a chariot, collected for it from scratch. One man, from scratch. He just do all these things. Get the bananas donated, truckloads of bananas for distribution, build the chariots, just pulled in anybody and everybody. It is said that whenever there's a Rath Yatra, there must be the picture of Jayananda on the chariot, by Srila Prabhupada's order. Because Jayananda has been immortalized like that. Temple president must make sure that whenever there's a Rath Yatra, the picture of Jayananda is there. It's one of the important duties of a temple president. Because Jayananda is such an amazing personality. So Jayananda Prabhu, he appeared before the day of Lord Sringadev. Anyway, Jayananda, he created this, he took Rath Yatra in the Western world and made it happen. He also organized this Rath Yatra in New York, although this Rath Yatra was the one where he was ill, and where he was ill with leukemia, and it was the last one. I mean, he somehow or other did it, and there's the picture where Jayananda they didn't have a steering wheel under the cart, he just had a rudder in the front, and Jayananda is with the rudder, like holding it in his hand in front of the chariot, going down Fifth Avenue, and it's like, you can see that picture. But later Jayananda showed Kesava how his glands were swollen, he was ill. But that never stopped him, that never stopped his service. When Jayananda became very ill with leukemia and so on, and was hospitalized, then what Jayananda did is he put a picture of Prabhupada on the bed, and he went to sleep on the floor. He said, I can't sleep on the bed. So he was lying on the floor, and he would still chant many rounds in that hospital also. Because Jayananda was very powerful when it came to chanting. He could sit down and just without any interruption, just chant, 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 like this. He could see that that was the source of his strength, the source of his inspiration. How else can you do this? When we chant Hare Krishna, space, 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 Hare Krishna, cloud, 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 Hare Krishna, shopping, 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 Hare Krishna, sleeping, sleeping, Hare Krishna. Take a break. When we chant like that, then everything is like that. Then all our focus is like that. We do everything with no focus. We must have this one-pointed attention. It simply means we must be akinchana gochara. We must be materially exhausted. Because when we are not materially exhausted, yes, then chant Krishna. But how can I just do this? The problem is, how can I just limit myself to chanting Hare Krishna? Just do that. When there's so many other things to do, and now I limit myself to chanting, it's impossible. I mean, how long can I limit myself to this? How long? How long for? Half an hour? 1 hour? 2 hours? 3? 4? Jayananda would regularly chant like 40 rounds at a stretch, non-stop. You calculate how many hours. Akinchana gochara, completely free from any other desire. Anyabilas tasunyam, free from any other desire. Anyabilas sita. Means additional things, free from all karma, free from all jnana, free from all desires to enjoy the material energy, free from all desires to escape the material energy, free from the desire for mystic powers. Want some mystic powers? Walk through the wall. Imagine you could walk through a wall. They couldn't keep you in jail, for one thing. You could walk straight into the bank also. Walk through any wall. Could we stay honest if he could walk through walls? And it's hard. It's hard. It would be tempting to sort of say, because maybe we're staying a little bit honest because you get locked, you go in the locker if you break the law. But if they can't do anything to you, what do you care? So in this way we can appreciate no mystic powers, no interest in all these things, no desire to be any more powerful than what we are now. Fallible, very vulnerable, weak human beings, full of mistakes, little thing already scared. I'm more scared of the fan than of Sita Rama. He threatened me, but I was not impressed. Fair. Scary. Yeah. So, somehow or other, and then, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dancing in front of the chariot and is taking Krishna back to Vrindavan, and both are in separation. Not only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in separation, but Jagannath also in separation. One in the mood of Radharani in separation, the other in the mood of Krishna in separation. So when all this is going on, at the same time, Lord Chaitanya is flooding everyone and anyone in all directions with mercy. Because they're all witnessing this transcendental love. And as they're witnessing this transcendental ecstasy, suddenly their whole conception changes. So far, happiness was something that would never really go beyond. Are you happy? Yeah. How are you? Happy? Yeah. Happy, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Really? Are you happy? You're really happy. But who has been overbrimming with happiness? Where have we ever seen that? The happiness just overflowing. In the way he jumped, in the way his tears are shooting in all directions, in the way he would just come down as he had jumped high and about to crash in the ground. And Nityananda just catching him. Each time. All these things, all this is going on. And everyone who saw their whole understanding of what love was could never be the same. Love and all that, I mean, what love is that? And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed this transcendental love and experienced it. Automatically, the three worlds became purified. The demigods in the sky were watching and witnessing the entire pastime. They saw everything and were drinking it in great ecstasy. And they shared in the mercy and the ecstasy. Everyone who saw, he saw. To see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love is described in Chaitanya Bhagavad. It's not an ordinary thing. It said there was a Muslim tailor who was doing some work in the house of Srivas for Srivas' deities. And then somehow or other he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in ecstasy, and then that Muslim tailor came dancing out of Srivas' house. I have seen. So it was not just an ordinary thing to see that mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was not an ordinary thing to see Srila Prabhupada dancing in London. It was not an ordinary thing. Such love, who had seen? Those who were there can still say, I have seen. Seen what is possible. That the impossible becomes possible. What happiness really is. Overbrimming with happiness. Flooding, swimming, bathing, relishing, drinking, intoxicated, all these qualities, not casual, love you so much, how I love you, no. So the definition of love changed. And Prabhupada displayed it. And Jayananda, his disciple, simply taking this service, taking it with his whole heart, taking the order of his spiritual master, but with love. Not just, well, it says in the scripture that one must follow the order of the spiritual master, and because that is the only way, yasyat prasad, bhagavad prasad, yasyat prasad, nagati kutopi, it is the only way to reach the ultimate goal, so I better follow the order of my spiritual master, because otherwise I'm in trouble, then I will not get the ultimate goal. So I'm not serving him out of love, I'm just serving him out of complete selfishness. I want to go back to the spiritual world. I don't care about my spiritual master, but he's my free ticket to the spiritual world. So therefore I'm serving him. I'm serving him because I don't see any other option, otherwise, how will I go back? Because it's about me, it's about my service, my life, and I want to go back to the spiritual world. So, but Jayananda was serving with love. He had received the gift of his spiritual master, Ratiyatra, and he loved it. He completely loved it. He completely gave it his everything, and in great love, Jayananda came down Fifth Avenue, transcending his disease, not caring for it, just he was going to do this, Ratiyatra, whatever, nothing in the world was going to hold him back, and he came down Fifth Avenue, most famous street in the world. Whatever happens on Fifth Avenue is world stage, and there Prabhupada was, skyscraper in New York. Prabhupada, his chariot coming down Fifth Avenue. Now, ISKCON was something, and Jayananda shared completely in the glory, and his ecstasy knew no bounds. Oh yes, in this way can we simply serve. Jayananda was such a devotee, very transcendental devotee. Many Jayananda stories are there, of course, also. Jayananda would drive a taxi, and Jayananda was older than other devotees, and Jayananda used to be like a father to the devotees. And when he was a temple president in San Francisco, he was like a father to the devotees. And he would buy them clothes for the winter, and he would just take care of them completely. And he himself, he would buy clothes from the Salvation Army, like a set of pants for $1. They were a bit baggy, So one day they said to Jayananda, you are the temple president, you can't walk around in clothes like this. Jayananda, buy yourself some pants. Jayananda, come on, do it. Really. So everyone ordered him, so Jayananda went. He went to the shop, put on the pants and this and that. Then he saw the price tag. He said, how can I waste so much of Krishna's money on some pants for me? No, I can't do it. So Jayananda just put his $1 pants over the other pants. And as he was walking out of the shop, he got busted by the store detective. So anyway, in America, court moves fast. So a few weeks later, he was in the court, and the whole thing was heard. And then, so the judge, Jayananda, was his own defense, no lawyer. He spoke himself for defense. So, and then he explained the whole thing. He was there. The store detective was there to testify. And then Jayananda told the whole story, how he just like everything for the temple his whole life and working so hard, and then how somehow or other they pushed him to buy his pants, and then he just couldn't do it, take Krishna's money for the pants. He told it with so much emotion that finally the store detective said, Your Honor, I'll pay for those pants. That's settled down. Jayananda, such an amazing devotee. One time, Dhanavir, then not a sannyasi, they were going for a prison program, and they cooked all this prasadam, like a huge arrangement for prasadam on the way to the prison. And all the devotees was in this fan smelling the prasadam, and then finally, then Jayananda says, he's driving, so Jayananda says, how do we know that this prasadam is okay? Oh, really? Did anyone taste it? I mean, what if we serve it out and it's not alright? I think we should taste a little bit just to make sure that it's okay. Well, the devotees, they start tasting, and then, like seconds, thirds, and fourth, and then they ate everything. The whole thing. So Dhanavir had cooked everything, arranged for everything. So he was upset. Upset was not the right word. I mean, how do you multiply upset by 1 million? Yeah? I mean, something like that. If someone knows a word for it, let me know.
Limit.
Okay. It was like over the limit, anyway, Jayananda was like, Dhanavir was sort of caught between a state of shock, anger, upset, but afraid to say something to Jayananda. But so he resorted to just refusing to speak. So he refused to speak. And they're driving to the jail, and Jayananda is jolly and this and that, totally ignoring Dhanavir. And they stop there at the gate. So, and the cops at the gate say, all right. Who are you all and what are you doing here? This program's all arranged. This is okay. You're not bringing any food, are you? No, we don't have any. And in this way, they had the prison program. Yes, transcendental devotees are controlled by Krishna. Krishna is there. Krishna is present. Krishna is interfering. Krishna intervenes. Krishna enters into the whole thing. Today, someone sent me this picture of Prabhupada wearing 2 watches. Have you seen the picture of Prabhupada wearing 2 watches? Yeah. So here's Prabhupada, he's got 2 watches. Why does Prabhupada have 2 watches? Just to make sure he's in time? Why does he have 2 watches? Just to show off to the Joneses? Okay, look what I've got. I've got 2. No, the story was that there was a devotee, a brahmachari, who had been collecting, and some people had given, some Indian people had given a big donation, and then he kept a little bit and saved some, and then he bought himself a Rolex watch. But then he felt a little guilty about it, so then he thought, no, I'm a brahmachari, I can't really keep this watch, it's not really good, you know what, I'll give it to Prabhupada. So then he went to Prabhupada and he gave Prabhupada the watch, and Prabhupada received the watch, Prabhupada put it on his arm, and Prabhupada then Prabhupada said yes. He said yes. Oh, a Rolex. And Prabhupada said yes, we must be very careful. That we are not taking things for ourselves. That we are not just enjoying the fruits of our activities, because that would spoil our entire spiritual life. And he just elaborated on the theme exactly spot on, as the warriors like, whoa, how did he know? He knew, because Krishna enters, and Krishna from within tells the pure devotee what to know. So somehow or other, this movement is a transcendental movement. Sometimes I'm thinking about it. How the Panchatattva used to dance. Advaita Acharya, he was the oldest and the main dancer. Another dancer was Haridas Thakur. He was 35 years older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he was a big dancer. Oh yes. And then all the members of the Panchatattva, their associates, danced. And then we see the 6 Goswamis dancing. We see Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami dancing. We see Narottam Das Thakur dancing. We see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur dancing. We're seeing Baladev Vichapusam dancing. We're seeing Jagannath Das Babaji dancing. We're seeing Bhaktivinoda Thakur dancing. Gauranga Das Babaji dancing. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur dancing like a boy. We're seeing Prabhupada dancing. We're seeing his disciples dancing. And finally, at the back of the caravan, there's us. Sort of like, I don't know exactly, but what we are, I mean, a bunch, sort of there, floppy head, sunblock and all, whatever we got, I mean, but somehow or other we're there, us, with all our baggage, whatever that is, it's all there. We bring it all to Ratha Yatra, but we are there in the same caravan, in the very same caravan, going in the same direction as Mahaprabhu. So it is a very transcendental occasion, a very transcendental movement, and we are here in a very transcendental weekend the Cape Town Ratha Yatra. It's like, wasn't the biggest crowd, I mean, in New York, Fifth Avenue, you get a real crowd, I mean, that's busy. Even Trafalgar Square, it's pretty packed. One year on Dam Square in Amsterdam, some are packed, and Madhava swinging, got this funky beat, really funky, and all the people on the square doing like funky moves. Whole funky square. Ratha Yatra. What can we say? It's amazing. In Calcutta, we also used to have trucks with bananas to throw from the chariot. And one year I was on the chariot and throwing, and then it came to the last banana. And I just had the last banana to throw from the chariot. And suddenly I saw this man at the side of the road with a table with a stack of eggs on it. I prayed to Lord Jagannath. Oh Lord Jagannath. Oh Lord Jagannath. May the power enter into my arm. And I did this throw, and a golden throw. That day, that egg salesman got the mercy. Smashed all his eggs and he got Jagannath Prasad. Yeah. In Soweto Ratha Yatra, we had so much fun because everyone dances and all the moves and everything. It's just something else. It's just incredible. It's really dynamic. And then I remember one year we had given out everything, all the fruits, all the prasadam, everything that we had, all the candies, and no more prasadam left. The only thing that was left were the fruits decorating the chariot. So I said, okay, take those fruits off the chariot and let's distribute them all, right, to everyone. Then I remember there were these old people behind a wall, and I gave them a pineapple. And these people, they were so happy to get a pineapple. They're from the country of pineapples, and they never had a pineapple. And in their old age, they got this pineapple. They said, "Is this for us? Can we keep it?" You know, Kalachandra Maharaj usually runs at Rath Yatras from the chariot, and he finds the bum on the street, and gives the mercy to that one. He finds them and gives the mercy to all. Oh, he's an old Sankirtan devotee. Deeply, deeply touched by this spirit of distributing the mercy. This year, I was in Vrindavan during Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. And somehow or other, there were many, many speakers for many, many hours. I was the last speaker, but I remember the first speaker. And the first speaker was Guru Kripa Prabhu. Right. Guru Kripa is a tough dude. He always was a tough dude. When Harikesh was Prabhupada's secretary, Prabhupada was staying upstairs, and Harikesh was guarding the door and said nobody can come in. And Guru Kripa just walked up and said, "Listen, Harikesh, get out of the way or I'll throw you downstairs." And then Harikesh moved aside. And Guru Kripa just went into Prabhupada's room. And Prabhupada said, "Oh, Guru Kripa, I wanted to see you." See? Guru Kripa. So Guru Kripa said, when Prabhupada came, it was just like a flash of lightning. He said it was so powerful, so concentrated, so intense for such a short time. He said, but it changed everything in one stroke. He said, just like it went so deep, it changed everything. He said, I don't know Radha and Krishna. I don't know. He said, but I know that Prabhupada came like a flash of lightning. That's all I know. Well, that was the thing I remembered at the end. I heard all the speeches, but I remember the first one. That I remembered. That one was just deep. It was deep and humble. It was just blatantly honest. It was just not sugar-coated, nothing beyond one's realization. There was nothing about, oh, I have seen things I cannot speak about. But Guru Kripa said, no. I am here because of Guru Kripa, nothing else. It's Guru Kripa. Yes, that is ultimately this movement. Because of Guru Kripa, because of the mercy of Guru, we have Ratha Yatra, we have everything. We have prasadam, we have kirtan, we have temples, we have devotees. Right? I was looking out of the window before the program and I saw some people walking down the street and said, are they coming to the Sannyasis? He said, nah, they don't look like devotees. Then I saw some others said, yeah, those guys are coming. Some looked eccentric, but I knew, yeah, those are the devotees. Those are the devotees. Special people. Special people. And it's Prabhupada who wakes it up in us, somehow or other, who wakes up this desire. And now we are addicted to all these things. ordinary mundane life, no spiritual dimension, just food. Oh, you want some food? Want some food? Anybody want some food? Some grub? Some tucker? Ready? No, food. If it doesn't have a spiritual dimension, want to go for a swim in the pool? I don't know. Is it holy water or what? Just ordinary water. Then I go swim in the ocean. I don't know. I'll swim in Puri in the ocean. Here in Cape Town, forget it. Never swim in the ocean. In Puri, oh yes, I will, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was bathing the body of Haridas Thakur after his departure and said, anyone from this day on who takes bath in this ocean will get love of God. Hey, let's go for a swim. Ready? Yes, surfing. Yay. I'm into it. Raj, let's go. Puri, Puri, here we come. How will your trip to Puri? We'll talk about it. The beach kirtan after the swim. But first, let's catch a few waves. Yeah? And then have some prasadam. So all these transcendental experiences are what we are relishing. And maybe not so much yet, but enough to keep on going. Enough to look for more. Is there more? And there is a lot more. Still a lot more. So let us go and look for more. And that is it. Looking for more and more and more. So in this way, we are celebrating our Rath Yatra. Jagannath wanted it like this, that we would have a 2-day discussion or something, because he moved it from Sunday to Saturday. And so therefore I felt today had to be a Jagannath discussion to complete the celebration. So any questions or comments?
Yes, we have everything. We have the temples, we have the kirtan, we have the prasadi, and we've had these things for many years. And many people came along the way, and many people left, and we can ascribe this to many influences, to many realities, etc., ad infinitum. But if you consider the words of Srila Narada Muni and Sri Bhagavad-gita, that a fruit tree without fruit, or a flower without fragrance, is compared to performing bhakti without ruchi, without taste. Now yes, you are saying to carry on and eventually it will come. And it will come, we know that. But we can also inject an infusion, just as somebody suffering from a lack of vitamin B, you take a vitamin B injection and infuse some strength. So as time progresses and we simply remain the same, and the transformation of consciousness does not really come, but we cheat ourselves into thinking that, all right, I'm still here, I'm still chanting, I'm still going on. How do we stop this tidal wave of insipid Krishna consciousness?
Insipid Krishna, yeah. Yeah. It appears that this is a problem. It appears to be so. One year there was some astrologer who did not know anything about this movement, but who somehow or other did some calculations that a great personality has appeared in this world, And he has brought complete perfection, but unfortunately his followers are not sincere, he said. So, how about that? Unfortunately, we're dragging our feet. Yes, around Prabhupada. So when I spoke, and Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, since I had the last word, I spoke about the 3 circles around Prabhupada. And I spoke about the outer circle, where there are those who are somehow or other have a connection, but they're struggling. They're struggling to really connect seriously and to follow. And then there are those who are in the middle circle. And they want to follow, and they're trying to follow. But internally, they're still battling with other desires. And then there's the inner circle. And in the inner circle, there are still some who may have some other desires, but they are ready to let those desires starve. But they're on the outside of the inner circle. And on the very core, on the very inside of the inner circle, there are those who are completely transparent to Prabhupada's desire and who will not only take his instruction, but who take it with love. It is through them that Prabhupada now works in this world. So, let us desire, let us at least begin to develop a desire to be in that inner circle. But it's not easy, because anyone who would get close to Prabhupada would pay one price. And the price would be that he would get in trouble. Getting close to Prabhupada didn't mean that you'd get a lot of nectar. It meant you'd get in trouble. It meant that Prabhupada would give them things to do that would just like blow their minds. That was just like more than they could have ever imagined that they could do. And someone or other had to do. So I pray that I may one day be in that inner circle. That is my desire. Because those who are in the inner circle with Prabhupada are in the inner circle with Krishna. That there's no difference in that. Yes, and others, they're the ones in the outer circle, the ones who are dragging their feet, the insipid, something.
Insipid ISKCON followers.
Yeah. Those, they're also making progress, but they're on the slow boat to China. Or I have the other story about the German Autobahn, and there's no speed limit. And then right side traffic, so the right lane is the slow lane. And there are 3 lanes, right? And there was a sign on the highway, and it said, "Turtles to the right." Turtles to the right. Yes. So, and then you can drive in the middle lane, and there's like serious speed, and every once in a while you see this like in the super fast lane, you see this car coming, like flashing lights in the back, coming with incredible speed. And then you're looking, it's Temple Sanatana Swami. Just look at that. Just flying by. So we can choose our lane. You can choose our lane. But everyone's got to make some progress. So in this way, this movement, the taste is there. We just don't always acknowledge it. There is taste now. Absolutely, there was taste this weekend. But we don't acknowledge it. Somewhere or other we just, because we're already looking for the next. My example is the meal. It's served, we're sitting on the ground and it's served in rows. And we're serving it out. And what's happening is that we're in the bad row. Our row is missing out. We've got only rice. And the other rows already have cheese sabji. So here's that rice, hey, cheese sabji here, like, and then we got the puris, puri. Finally we get cheese sabji, still more puris, like, so it's like munch on the cheese sabji and the rice means pakoras. I mean, come on, like you're forgetting us all the time, pakoras, because in the end, it is like, sweet rice, we got the sweet rice, but we didn't taste a bite of it because we're talking about the gulaps, we didn't get the gulaps, and we munched the whole sweet rice, didn't taste nothing of it. So this is what we're doing, we're just eating without tasting because we're always thinking about the next thing. You have made something, a work of art. What is it?
Sudarshan Chakra.
Ooh, Sudarshan Chakra.
And then at the bottom here's the Tulsi tree.
Okay, go on. Can you hear?
Tulsi tree.
Tulsi tree. All of the places now, it's a Tulsi tree. Any demons? Just still go outside, before it's too late. Cool. Thank you.
Chanataga Viplavo.
Revolution.
The revolution.
Can I kindly request that we stop at 5? So we have other aspects of the program.
Okay. We never do that when I'm here. So, can I rebel?
Please do.
I mean, you shouldn't put me in chains, because I spend so much money, so much effort, so much blood, sweat, and tears to come. And then when you put me in chains, that's too much. Please, let us live. Usually we have, over the years, just adjusted the Sunday feast arati or whatever, as long as it lasted. Let the tradition stay. Please, my humble request. Pray.
I think the scriptures is based on death, that at any moment you could die. So just sharing that, I think the more we aware that we can die at any moment, maybe that might speed the process.
The more we are aware that we can die at any moment, yes, that may speed up the process. Yes, in the conditioned state of devotional service, we need such reminders that when we don't have so much taste, then we need reminders. You can die any moment, don't waste any time. And when we are getting taste, then we don't want to waste time because we want more Krishna. We can't, we just want to we eat for more. Okay.
Maharaj, King Rudra was on the outer circle around Lord Chaitanya. And then we see that in the Jagannath Vallabha Gardens, it seems like then he comes into the inner circle.
Yeah.
Was that just like an inner circle moment? And was it just his service to the Vaishnavas that took him there?
Externally, King Prataparuda was on the outside because he was the king, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not let him come too close. But actually, he was a great pure devotee. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya let him come in the Jagannath Vallabha Gardens very closely and intimately, because, and that's what really counts. So we see a similar thing in relation to ladies and a male spiritual master. Externally, the ladies have to be at a distance, but it is possible for them internally to be very close by being a complete instrument of the spiritual master.
Nice answer.
Think about that one.
Sorry, who was Brother Parudra again in Krishna Lila?
Indradumna Maharaj.
The king.
It was Indradumna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. You spoke earlier about Srila Prabhupada's insistence that instead of sincerity, that intelligence is the key to keeping this movement going. Could you possibly give us an indication of what is the best way to apply our intelligence moving forward?
Intelligence is meant to thoroughly understand the instructions of the parampara. It means that we have to deeply penetrate into transcendental knowledge as it is outlined in scriptures and in the teachings of the acharyas, and that we should try to understand it, not just memorize it and repeat it like parrots, but deeply think about its meaning and its consequences. One has to read every verse, every word, and think, what are the consequences of these words in my life? And in this way, make these words one's own, and then deeply realized, then we are strong in intelligence. Then our intelligence is saturated with the mercy of the spiritual master. In that way, we can do it. But it's an effort. It's not like automatic or cheap. It's hard work. It's like if we want to attain something, we have to really try. Really try to understand it deeply. And then someone's mercy will come.
Maharaj, how does one become materially exhausted? Since it's a lot strength.
How do we become materially exhausted?
Get married.
Yeah. Good answer.
It seems, sometimes we think that that's the solution, but even then, that will not exhaust the senses. We have to thoroughly understand. Again, we have to see deeper and deeper and deeper, to learn to see what's behind things. Don't look at face value. Look what's behind things. Look at all the strings that are attached. Nothing comes without strings. We just get bewildered by some object. The senses get focused on some object and we don't see all the strings that are attached to it. All the other things that are connected to it. But the more we see how each thing is connected to so many things, saying, oh, forget it, this is too much. Then we naturally say, forget it. I don't want this anymore. And then, once we get a taste for Krishna, then we say, oh, come on, I can't waste my time. I need more time for Krishna. I can't spend my time with all these things.
Maharaj, I just want to know, many of the acharyas describe Jagannath as Patita Pavan and Lord of the Universe. But when you go to Jagannath Puri, many of his devotees can't even enter his temple. So what can you do?
Well, Srila Prabhupada was objecting. Srila Prabhupada was very concerned that the devotees could not enter the temple, even so much so that when he was invited to enter the temple, that he wouldn't go. They wanted to give him a formal welcome, but he didn't want to go. So Srila Prabhupada was very upset with this. Very much so.
So I've heard that through Chaityanya's movement and his mercy, we're able to, or we'll be able to serve Krishna personally in Vrindavan, like in the spiritual. And then also that we have our original constitutional positions that are usually unchanging within the spiritual. So I was just wondering if, like, specifically Lord Chaitanya's movement and mercy, it all affects our,
eternal Sarup.
yeah, like it would.
Well, generally Srila Prabhupada is saying about that the Sarup is already there, that the Sarup is awakened, our eternal form, eternal identity is awakened. And even when there was a discussion with Hansadutta, and Hansadutta kept on asking the questions, and Hansadutta said that, why? If we want to change our Sarup, can we change? Prabhupada said, no, why would you change? Why would you change? Why would you want to change? No. But can we change? And Prabhupada says, yes, you can. You can. And he says, but why would you want to? Then in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, in the branches of the Chaitanya tree, the branches of Advaita Acharya are described. And then it is said that generally speaking, the associates of Lord Nityananda and Advaita Acharya are in Sakyaras. But by prolonged association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they can also come to Madhurya Ras. So there is a quote which is an indication that by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is possible to even be awakened and go to Madhurya Ras. Although, why would you want to? Why would you want to? But it could happen. It could happen. But generally, it's fully satisfying. Fully satisfying. What is awakening? Whatever that Ras is. Okay. No, it's, yeah.
Krishna Maharaj. I do not have a question. Just listening to what you said when you were answering Prabhu's question about appreciation. I don't know how many times I'll have this opportunity to talk to you. So I'll say right now, I'm just very, 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 very thankful for your presence. You have made me feel such deep feelings yesterday, especially, even today, bhakti, maybe even though I'm still new to this, but I've never felt like that, and I'm just very thankful.
Anyway, thank you. I am not very important, but Prabhupada is really our teacher, I tell you that. So it's an amazing movement, that's for sure. It's amazing. There's so much mercy. Just so we can give you this garland as a gift. It's a very beautiful garland. To say things like that means that you are also a beautiful person. Because most people, they can speak like that. They don't think everyone everyone's pulling everybody down. So the fact that you speak like that means that is very nice, and you are here in the right place, very much so, with the devotees at Prabhupada's feet.
So with regard to that point about intelligence, what did Ramananda Roy answer when Mahaprabhu asked, what is the best intelligence?
Oh, what was it again? I forgot.
Association.
Okay, thank you.
Association, something like that. So therefore, by being here, that intelligence is automatically manifested.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Maharaj, I want to go back to the inner circle, because we've been speaking a lot about, we are just asking how do we get materially exhausted, and you talked about all the streams that we have to manage. But and now I'm just thinking about, I have so many streams to take care of now, but how do I move into that inner circle and maybe use the strings for Krishna or not have the strings at
Yeah, get older and wiser. Then you will carry all your strings, and as you're getting older and wiser, you'll figure out which strings to cut and let go. It's like Rome wasn't built in a day, but meanwhile, yes, whatever strings are there, connect them all with Krishna. Everything. The whole lot. All right, I thank you.
Hare Krishna,
But you told me a little late, and then I didn't.
Give my stick, you can use it.
I will not. I don't need a stick. You need a stick, but I don't.
James, I don't need a stick, I have my tongue, bro.
Thank you very much.
Kadamba Kanana Swami.